Tony Dicey, and 14, Michael Holden. Row 4 then, for number 42, Ben Williams, 22, Matt Gathercole, and 111, Max Ingham, with the 5th row seeing 996, Curtis Milburn, line up alongside 39, Daniel Adams, and 977, Alan Watts. 6th row for number 187, Will Ireland, 51, Thomas Jackson, and 3, Michael Rutter, with the 7th row, number 132, Michael Reedy, 48, Roger Lovelace, and 26, James Logan. 8th row for 139, Sam Moth, 765, Joanne Wingate, and 176, Paul Boxall. And then towards the back, the 9th row for 204, Francesca Bowring, 55, Lee Dodson, and 160, Rob Goodwin. Then the 10th row, number 36, Samantha Rowland, 5, Gareth Rose, and 184, Rich McNabb. Whilst the back row is made up by 74, Tristan Rice, 28, Martin Willows, and hopefully 88, Daniel Johnson, although he did not qualify. So there are, I make it 7 returning riders, I think, this year. At least 7 that were on the original entry list. So we have Adam and Matt Gathercole, brothers, Tony Dicey, Wilfred Watton-Turner, who's on pole position, Daniel Adams, Benjamin Williams, Francesca Bowring, and Curtis Milburn, although I don't remember reading Curtis's name out there, so yeah, Curtis, unfortunately, not here. A lot of those riders had sort of brief moments of pace last year, but they weren't really championship contenders, so we don't know who the favourites are going to be this year. Certainly Adam Gathercole and Wilfred Watton-Turner, who are both on the front row, I've sort of highlighted as 2 to watch, and they are living up to that at the moment. It's Joe Higham alongside them on the Triumph, though, in the middle of the front row, which is about to launch into life because the red lights are on. They go out now, and our final sprint race of the day is underway, and it is Joe Higham that makes the best start from the front row. Absolutely awful start made by Wilfred Watton-Turner and Adam Gathercole, and that looks like it's Adam Thompson that's challenging for the lead as they go into Redgate Corner. So it is going to be Higham that leads, but behind him, I think there's been a real shuffle of the positions as they head through Redgate Corner. Out of Redgate they go, down through the Craners, and this is really the entry-level series for No Limits Racing. 600cc bikes, newcomer riders, lots of them maybe in their first ever season of racing, so you can forgive them for being a little tentative maybe as they go down the Craner curves, 1 or 2 of them running wide. In fact, one does take to the grass coming down the hill, but will just about manage to get back on the road. Careful, of course, to rejoin without impeding other people. But Joe Higham leads the way. The Triumph rider, number 19, then out in front and already starting to attempt to make a bit of a break anyway from the chasing pack. We've then got 2 bikes nose to tail for second place, but as I say, who they are, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think it's Wilfred Watton-Turner or Adam Gathercole because neither of them got off the line particularly well. Watton-Turner's start was slightly better, so he might still be in the top 2. But let's see as they come through at the end of the first lap then, out of the chicane. Race leader is coming across the start-finish line. Second place is going to be Wilfred Watton-Turner, so he fought back in the end to second by the end of lap number 1. Third position is going to be 471 Dale Cracknell. So where did Adam Gathercole go? He's 4th, so Gathercole from the inside of row number 1 ends up 4th at the end of lap number 1. More importantly, though, did we get everyone through at the end of the opening lap? It looks as though we are missing a couple, but they may well have been non-starters, of course, rather than non-finishers. I certainly can't see any yellow flags around the circuit, so yeah, I think we're good. I think we've got 33 of them still going, so the ones we've not seen are 184 Rich McNabb, 47, which was Graham, wasn't it? Now, he did start, or was supposed to start, somewhere towards the middle of the grid, and then we know that Stansfield was always likely to be a non-starter as well. Leaders then head towards Coppice Corner, and the lead gap coming down now. So Wilfred Watton-Turner, who set the pole position time by over a second over Joe Higham, is now starting to show that pace. He's set a purple first and second sector, although that second sector was immediately beaten actually by Dale Cracknell, so he's going after them. We could have a 3-bike fight here for first position. And we do. Well, we certainly have a 2-bike fight for the lead because Wilfred Watton-Turner is making his move, goes to the inside of Joe Higham as they come across the start-finish line. They are officially separated by 25 one-thousandths of a second at the line, but it will be Wilfred Watton-Turner that gets the lead into turn number 1. Runs a little bit wide on the exit, but he just about manages to hang on to it. Wilfred only actually competed in 1 event last year, which was here at Donnington. He scored points in 3 of the 4 races and took a best finish of 7th place. So Wilfred, although he wasn't a full season rider last year, he did show that he's got good pace, especially around Donnington Park. As for Dale Cracknell, he's actually moved from and this is quite interesting actually, he's moved from the Newcomer 1000 Championship back down into the Newcomer 600s. This, the man that is in third position at the moment, had 2 points finishes in that Newcomer 1000 Championship last year, a season best of 6th at Snetterton, but he's decided that maybe that was a step too far. Maybe it's better to move on to the 600s and learn his craft here. He's certainly got a good fight going on ahead of him, because Higham, having lost that lead, is not actually being left behind here at all by Wilfred Watton Turner. They're nose to tail as they come out across the start-finish lines. This is a genuine fight for the lead bubbling up here. They head down into Redgate Corner, and actually Higham is very, very late on the brakes, tries to have a go on the inside line, couldn't quite do it, but they could not be closer as they come out of the turn. Wilfred Watton Turner then definitely going to have his hands full here. Excuse me. So the rest of the pack all making their way through. Any changes there? Well, yes, 3 places lost, I'm afraid, for Adam Gathercole. So Gathercole, who I had circled as potentially the championship favourite, really. As I said, he was the highest placed rider in the points last year, who is also racing this year. He was 8th in the 2020 championship, had 1 top 5. And, well, he's not even in the top 5 now. He's dropped down to 7th place in this race, which is a bit frustrating for him. After not getting a good start, he's not really been able to regain his composure or regain the positions either. So let's see whether or not he's able to get himself back into that top 5 by the end of the race. The leaders, though, are really starting to dice away. In fact, we've got another lead change, because into the chicane, Higham's gone back through on the inside of Wilfred Watton Turner. This is turning into a good race, a typical Newcomer 600 race, this really, isn't it? Between one returning rider and one rider who perhaps is a bit of an unknown quantity in the shape of Joe Higham. I don't know whether he raced. Let's have a look. Did Joe Higham race last year? No, he didn't, did he? I don't think Joe Higham's raced with No Limits before, actually, so certainly a new name to me. And therefore, Wilfred Watton Turner probably won't have raced against him before, doesn't really know where his strengths are. At the moment, it seems to be under braking, because that was a really bold move that Higham made into that final chicane. Was enough in the end to give him the race lead. But as they go back into my view now through Schwant's Curve, the gap between the two of them is virtually nothing. So this battle's going to run and run, I think. Cracknell in third is actually now starting to drop back into the clutches of the 4th and 5th place battle. Adam Thompson is 4th on number 17, and 5th position is number 15, Mike Vincent. And those two are both lapping a little bit quicker than Cracknell. They're 3.2 seconds back, but they were about 6/10 quicker than him on the previous lap. This is, remember, only a 10-lap race, of course, not the 14-lappers that we saw from the Super Series categories. After the chicane they go then. It's the lighter, sort of grey liveried bike of Higham that appears first and sets another new fastest lap. A 1:15.607 is 3.5 tenths quicker than Watton Turner. They've got a back marker ahead of them as well, about to go a lap down, so that's, again, going to become a running theme, I think, throughout the course of the day, as they try to negotiate the back markers. And this really is the category that it's going to be the hardest to do that in, because the quite a wide sort of spread of abilities isn't really the right word, but experience, certainly. There are some riders, as I said, who will be making their very first race start here, and they're going to have this almighty battle for the race lead bearing down on them before much longer, and that can catch them out quite easily, you'd imagine. Traffic is definitely going to become a factor. The leaders are going to have some bikes to pass within the next couple of corners. I think there's a big group of 5 of them coming down into the Robert chicane right now, which includes, by the looks of it, what was headed anyway at the start of the last lap by Lee Dodson. So that's the next group that's going to go a lap down. The race leaders come out of the chicane. Still Higham ahead of Watton Turner, but Wilfred Watton Turner is on his toes here. He can see the traffic coming up ahead. He knows this might be his opportunity to try and make the move, try and surprise the race leader Higham. Go down through the Craner curves. I'll again turn my attention towards the cameras to see if we can pick out what's going on here. We're going to be 7 bikes all descending upon the old hairpin at once, but it's the 2 that are carving through that I'm watching for, the Heather leaders. And you know what? The back markers do a good job of staying out of the way, but Watton Turner does take a foul. Oh, there's contact! There's contact out through the old hairpin. Watton Turner took the lead, and Higham collided with a lapped bike, and the lapped bike, I'm afraid, went down going through the old hairpin. Now, the leaders, I think, both survived. We've also got a faller at McLean's, so we've got yellow flags out at McLean's, but there was contact there between Joe Higham and a slower bike. Now, it was all because Watton Turner, as I suspected would be the case, he saw that that was his opportunity to make a move, went to the inside. It was a clean move by Watton Turner, but I think it surprised Higham, and Higham kind of sat up a little bit, ran a bit wider through the apex of the old hairpin, and the bike to his left didn't expect it, and they banged wheels, and unfortunately the other bike went down. Didn't look like being a heavy accident, it was just a low side, but it will almost certainly have ended that unfortunate rider's race. Who didn't come through then from that group? Was it Reedy? Was it the 132 maybe? I don't think he finished that lap, did he? Michael Reedy, yeah, still hasn't come through. The other one that's not coming through is... no, Rose has just finished his lap. I'm trying to work out how the faller up at McLean's might be. Oh, I think that is actually going to be number 28, Martin Willows, whose bike is being dragged away unceremoniously by the marshals at McLean's. But again, the race not being stopped here, so clearly riders involved in these various incidents are okay. It's just a case of getting the bikes out of harm's way. Right then, what does all of this mean for the race? Well, we've got 2.5 laps to go, and it's still only 3/10 between Watton Turner and Higham, so despite the little contretemps there that Higham had with the back marker, it did cost him the lead. Well, actually, he was losing the lead anyway, so it didn't so much cost him the lead, but it didn't really cost him any time to Watton Turner either. The gap between them is still virtually nothing. They're coming down into the chicane, and Higham is on the inside line, is he? He's not just taken the lead again, has he? Out of the chicane now, sorry, that's a back marker. I'm watching there the next pair of cars coming through. And although Higham does have a look to the inside, he's not able to get through on the way into the chicane. Gets a good exit though, so Watton Turner will have a bit of defending to do here as they head towards Redgate Corner. Higham, no choice now but to put that little clash behind him and argue the toss later, I suppose. Through Redgate they go, back down through the crane of curves. Let's see whether or not Higham is going to be brave enough to have a go at Watton Turner at the corner at which Watton Turner passed him a couple of laps ago. Down into the braking zone they go. They've got more traffic ahead. This time it's Watton Turner that takes the really wide line into the old hairpin, but he comes off the corner pretty well as a result of the wide entry. But now they're getting ever closer to another group of 3 or 4 back markers, and those back markers are battling side by side in front of the leaders. Watton Turner goes round the outside. That was brilliant riding from Wilfred Watton Turner. He went round the outside of both the back markers, going through McLean's corner, whereas Joe Higham elected to sit behind them for the duration of the corner. So just in that one bold bit of riding, Watton Turner's probably gained the best part of a second, I'd say, over his challenger, and with only a lap to go at the end of this one, that could have been a race-winning move. It wasn't even a pass for position, but it was a couple of bikes that had to be negotiated, and Watton Turner negotiated them brilliantly well, but they're just showing how the traffic can ebb and flow. As soon as he gains time through McLean's, he then catches a back marker in an awkward spot through the chicane, and does just lose a little bit of time, but the gap still, on average, goes up there. It was 1:16.6 for Watton Turner, and 1:17.1 for Joe Higham, so the gap does shoot up now to just under 7/10 of a second as they go on to the final lap of the race. Cracknell in 3rd, Thompson still 4th, Vincent 5th, Gathercole 6th. There's been actually relatively little changing of order behind those top 2. Has all really been about the fight for the victory. Ooh, there's a bike off going into McLean's, and it rejoins the track right in front of another. We had a nasty accident there in one of the qualifying sessions earlier on this afternoon, or this morning as it was, which was from a very similar incident with someone going off at Schwantz and then bouncing back across the track into traffic at McLean's. Thankfully, contact avoided on this occasion. Didn't quite see who it was, but the leaders weren't far behind them, actually. They head towards Coppice Corner, back down towards us. The checkered flag will be waiting for them this time. And, well, it might not end up being a photo finish this time, but it's still been an enthralling Newcomer 600 race. You never know. Joe Higham might yet have a go at Watton Turner. And as they come through the chicane, yes, he's just gone past him. Higham has just gone past him at the very last corner. I did not see that coming. Joe Higham has managed to snatch the victory away from Wilfred Watton Turner, who must have been delayed by traffic? No, I don't think he was. I think it was a purple final sector for Higham. So Higham just found an extra gear down the exhibition straight and managed to get up the inside. I could see on the CCTV cameras there was a blue bike passing a grey bike, and I didn't want to say it was for the lead until I was absolutely sure, but it was. It was Higham going past Watton Turner, and he takes the victory by 0.2 of a second. So brilliant racing, as always, from the Metzler Newcomer 600s, and it is first blood to Joe Higham then, with Wilfred Watton Turner in second position. Third position goes to the 471 of Dale Cracknell. Fourth place will go to Adam Thompson. Fifth for Mike Vincent. Sixth position, number 20, Adam Gathercole. Seventh, number 16, which is Luke Stanley. Eighth position goes to Tony Dicey. Ninth for Michael Holden, and rounding out the top 10 will be Matt Gathercole, brother of Adam Gathercole. So both the Gathercoles getting into the top 10. Oh, that was pretty exciting, wasn't it? Lots of good racing going on there with the Newcomer 600s, and there was some seriously close stuff there, particularly between Wilfred Watton Turner and Joe Higham, and it is the Triumph rider that comes out on top over the Yamaha on this occasion. And that is not a bad way to end our sprint racing action for the day. Right, we are now going into our lunch break, and huge congratulations to the No Limits organisers, because we're going into this lunchtime bang on time. 2:15 was the time we were supposed to hit our lunch break, and that is exactly what's happening. So we will be back in probably about 45 minutes or so, just before that, for our minute silence for the National Minute Silence, remembering the Duke of Edinburgh. That's at 3 o'clock, and then at 3:15 we get our race underway for the opening round of the No Limits Endurance Championships. More details on all of that later on, but for now we're going to enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet over the lunch break. Some fantastic racing this morning, and we look forward to the endurance race due to start at 3:15.